Section 5. Consciousness, Energy and Information. The non-local character of reality at the quantum level suggests that there is no reason in principle why there could not be coordination of the resolution of indeterminacies affecting many neural firings. Indeed, a possible mechanism for this, associated with Bose condensation, is conjectured in Lockwood 1989 and Zohar 1990. See also Eccles 1990. As discussed earlier, all this would appear random from the physical viewpoint, because that viewpoint can take no account of subjective mental processes, insofar as they transcend physical processes. However, from the mental viewpoint, this coordinated resolution of indeterminacies would be a matter of choice. Hodgson 91. In other words, Bose-Einstein condensates could embody purposive human decision-making. In contrast to this vision of the effective exercise of human free will via quantum processes, theorists in the consensus mainstream approach to consciousness often present free will as a delusion. Hodgson cites Gazzaniga and Restak as examples. In addition, many such theorists also make a vague claim that this delusion has some evolutionary value. But as Hodgson points out, to suggest that the conscious self is in some general way deluded into believing itself to be responsible for actions seems to make little evolutionary sense. If consciousness is efficacious, this is no general delusion. And if it is not efficacious, why is there any evolutionary use for a comforting delusion? It's rather like an invading army setting up a puppet regime in a conquered country. If there really is no opposition to the invasion, the position of the reductive determinists, then why bother to create an illusion of self-government? An exception to this no evolutionary purpose objection is Nicholas Humphrey. He has suggested that feeling that we have free will makes us believe that we have immortal souls, which in turn has the evolutionary advantage of making us care about the quality of our lives and generally gives us a higher level of motivation in life. Continuing this theme of the unique contribution that consciousness can make to the human mind, Raymond Tallis is extremely critical of the use of the term information by cognitive psychologists. He says that engineers use the term loosely to describe unconscious devices designed by conscious human beings to help them communicate with other conscious human beings. If we remove this element of human intention essential to ordinary communication, then information states or information-bearing states can be made to encompass pretty well everything that happens or exists. Tallis quotes the example of Patricia Churchland, arguing that nervous systems are information processing machines. Tallis asks, where does the information come from? If we're only interested in physical processes, So we can only really talk about energy impinging on the nervous system. And again, Thales asks, how does this energy become transformed into consciousness? He says, although the nervous system seems quite good at turning various forms of energy into its own in-house dialect, this doesn't seem to amount to the transformation of energy into information. And Thales concludes, clearly you can't process something you don't have. A stomach isn't a dinner processing machine unless it gets a dinner from somewhere. Thales points out that the reductive materialist orthodoxy has a simple answer to this puzzling question. The information is actually present in the energy that impinges on the nervous system. Thales explains that the job of the nervous system is no longer the metaphysical task of turning energy into consciousness or mental events into information. It simply has to extract and process it. He quotes Johnson Laird, who argues that light reflected from surfaces and focused on the retina contains a large amount of information. Thales comments that this must surely be the easiest solution to the puzzle of how energy is transformed into information. The information is in the energy, although there is still some work to be done. And Thales once again quotes Johnson Laird, who says, no matter how much information is in the light falling on the retina, there must be mental mechanisms for recovering the identities of things in a scene and those of their properties that vision makes explicit to consciousness. Thales clearly regards this as very sloppy use of language. He insists that once information is uprooted from consciousness and from an informant, or from the experience of being informed and of wanting, or come to that, refusing to be informed, then any kind of nonsense is possible. According to the information theorists, the unconscious structure of organisms contains or embodies information, and the physical energy impinging on the nervous system also contains information. It is possible to go further than this. For the fully paid up information theorist, information is simply and literally everywhere. According to Thales, the start of this slippery slope of misusing the term information lies in accepting the idea that information can be stored outside the human body, outside conscious organisms. For example, in books or on discs. This loose way of thinking results in the concept of information being liberated from a consciousness being informed or wanting to inform. It seems to suggest that information can be given and received without the involvement of consciousness. This is, of course, misleading. The information in a book or on a disc is only potential information. And speaking more generally, it is not information, but only potential information that can be inscribed outside a conscious individual. It remains merely potential until it is encountered by an individual requiring and able to receive information, able to be informed. In the absence of such a conscious organism, it is sloppy and inaccurate to refer to the states of objects as information. And this inaccuracy has had very serious and negative consequences. Thales laments that the illegitimately and at times insanely extended misuse of the term information is absolutely pivotal in establishing the conceptual confusions necessary to the seeming fruitfulness and apparent explanatory power of much modern thought about the mind and the brain and ourselves. This converges in the computational theory of mind. By playing on different meanings of information and transferring epithets like a volleyball, it is possible to argue that minds, brains, organisms, various artifacts such as computers, and even non-living thermodynamic systems are all information processing devices. Because they are deemed to be essentially the same in this vitally important respect, they can be used to model each other. Homology and analogy can run riot. Once the concept of information is liberated from the idea of a conscious someone being informed and from that of a conscious someone doing the informing, anything is possible.